Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, March 5th, 2014 meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. First on the agenda are minutes, and Susan is well on her way to preparing those minutes for us, and I'm sure we'll have them this week and we can vote them next week.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, welcome back.
And welcome back. That's the first. Welcome back.
Request to continue determination of applicability. Town of Falmouth Water Department, care of Mary Beth Weiser, off Gifford Street, map 3505 006 000, Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to drill one 4-inch diameter soil boring to a depth of approximately 40 feet using a track-mounted all-terrain drill rig. No vegetation clearing to be done, all work within existing cart path or open area.
Yes, Madam Chairman. You were in the meeting with Taylor and Howard.
Right.
DPW. This is a project that
Goes along with that project?
goes along with the water infiltration plan. We're looking at doing boring near the pond's edge at Long Pond. We're waiting for them to stake that boring location, so they've asked for a continuance until the 19th.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, hearing none, motion on the table is to continue this to March 19th, which is 2 weeks from today.
Correct.
What's the matter?
Yeah, I definitely.
Feedback.
I don't think it's this one, I think is it that one? Oh, well, all in favor of the motion on the table, say aye.
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 Maybe I'm too close. All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Request for determination of applicability. Charles Mateo, 77 Miami Avenue, Falmouth, for permission to replace the 3-foot timber landscape wall with stone, install a 15-foot by 15-foot poured concrete pad in the gravel area, replace the existing 4-foot by 14-foot. Is there an echo?
Yes.
There is.
Wood staircase and a 4-foot by 4-foot landing to the pond, replace the 13-foot by 24-foot deck and stairs in the same footprint, and to remove a 13-inch caliper tree.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Mark has reviewed the project, gone over it with myself, reviewed it with the homeowner. We are recommending a -2 under the bylaw and a -3 for items 1, 2, and 3, which is the repair and maintenance of the existing structures, and a -2 under the statement bylaw for item number 4, which is the repair and maintaining the stairway on the coastal bank.
Are you going to see about
I
that?
am going to do that right
Move to accept the staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Any questions? Are you here for the RDA? Okay.
I'm Charles Mateo.
Okay, just so you understand, a negative determination is what you want to hear tonight. That means you can go ahead with the work that you've proposed. It means you don't have to come back. Unless, well, we're not quite finished with the process, but it's close. Are there any questions from the audience? No? Okay. We'll take the vote now. All in favor of the motion on the table, which is to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination for all 4 parts of the work. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thanks. Okay, the next is Town of Falmouth Water Department, and we've just continued that to March 19th.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
I don't think it's these. I think
I can't really tell. I can't really tell.
what?
Yes.
We might get rid of our audience. No, Jeff's not going to go. He wants to get his work finished. Raul wants to get his work finished. You probably want to get your work finished. Okay, the next is request to amend the existing order of conditions, John Bullman, Lot 160, Nashon Circle, West Falmouth. Request to amend the existing order of conditions, DEP number 253470, to change the house configuration, construct a pool shed, install a rear ground level patio, sitting wall, in-ground pool, and concrete mechanical equipment pad. Jen?
Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I will save any of my comments until after, Raul's presentation.
Good evening, Raul.
Good evening. For the record, I'll be finding the Bolton Grass, engineers and land surveyors for the applicant. The project tonight is an amendment to an existing order of condition. It's still a valid order of condition. It's being recorded at the Registry of Deeds. The project is at Lot 160, Nashon Circle. The changes to the project are a new building, new proposed dwelling, with the addition of a pool house, and pool pad for the equipment. There's been modifications associated with the changes to the building. There's been changes to the septic system, location-wise. It's been shifted around to meet the setbacks of Title 5. And there's been changes to the drainage. We added drainage system to incorporate a full dry well, but also to incorporate a catch basin out the driveway with its own leaching pit. Resources found within 100 feet of the project are land over the ocean, is Boston Bay, coastal beach, land subject to coastal stone flowage, and a coastal bank. These new modifications to the project held the limit of work alignment as it was proposed before. However, we did change from a row of hay bales to a silt fence. The reason for that, you can read the grading on the site. The coastal bank goes up from Buzzards Bay. It reaches a ridge, a high ridge at this point, and then it starts sloping down towards the road. A row of hay bales is intended for holding back any sediments that are being washed out. The flow of runoff is not going that direction, it's going towards this direction. So we changed the hay bale to a silt fence. It occupies less room within the area, and it's easier for installation and maintenance. The project still holds that limit of work, and we're proposing the pool behind the house with a pool patio and a pool house and a pool structure. All the structures are still 10 feet or further away from the 25-foot buffer zone. This is based on the old buffer regulations from when it was approved back in 2008. The buffer is a 25-foot to the top of the coastal bank, which is more or less the location where we have the limit of work. Around the edge of the proposed pool patio, we have what we call a seating wall. It's about 18 inches in height for people to walk, to sit around the pool patio. If there's any questions? Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Raul. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, this was submitted to you originally prior to the change of your 2008 buffer regulations, which is why we're not saying the type of filing you would see today for these types of projects. They are coming in under amendment. It is an increase in impervious surface, so the board really can accept the amendment. If you feel that this is a minor or moderate change, or if you feel it's a significant change to the scope of the original project, it's going to require a new filing, which would require your new buffer regs to be met. Other than that, it does meet the old buffer reg.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you?
Yeah, I have a problem with it. If you look at the regulation for amending orders of conditions, I see the following. This is under 10.058, okay? once again, they refer to minor deviations from the project approved in the original permit. I asked you to look at the so-called amended request and compare it with what was approved 6 years ago, okay? That does not look like a minor deviation to me at all. Once again, relatively minor and will have unchanged or less impact on the resource areas protected by the bylaw. Can you explain to me how this represents less of an impact to the resource areas than what was permitted?
Right. The building structures, it's increasing because we're adding 2 new structures never proposed before. The pool is considered structure, and the pool house is considered a structure. Structure-wise, we're increasing from what was proposed back then, 10.6% lot coverage to 12.5. So we're increasing 1.9% on the lot on structures. All the resources are beyond this ridge that I just described before. In this area, all the runoff that we're expected to receive from the roof of these structures, the emptying of the pool is being handled by new drainage structures and larger leaching dry wells. So we are modifying the drainage system to mitigate the impacts of this proposed increasing 1.9% of structures.
How much more impervious surface are you calling for over the original?
Including the pool patio, it's increasing from what was proposed back then around 21 to 27.3% on the lot. It's an increase of about 6.4%.
Mm-hmm. And do you regard that as a minor deviation?
This is the increase mainly
I'm
on
just
pool
referring to
patio.
the regs here. Once again, a relatively minor nature. Whether the scope of the project has increased, whether the project meets relevant performance standards, and whether the potential for adverse impacts to the resource will be increased. And I see that as this is going to be have the potential for adverse impacts over and above what the previous notice of intent allowed for, or the order of conditions allowed for. It does not seem to me that this is a relatively minor change. You're adding an in-ground pool, a terrace, a pool house. There was something else there. These are, I think, fairly significant changes. I don't see these as being a minor change at all.
If we look at the plans show the footprint of the old approved
Yes.
house. You can see that the pool is entirely within the area of what was proposed as a structure. So the pool is not adding any more impervious surfaces within that area. The building is expanding on this direction, which is this direction over here where we had a portion of the parking space to access the driveway. Back here, we had the proposed portions of the proposed septic system, which is what now we have portion of the proposed patio. We're limiting everything on the upland side of the limit of work that was approved before. And this is the bridge point that's protecting practically all the resources to the Buzzards Bay area. The project that we're proposing now is being mitigated with the changes to the drainage system. Because this impervious area is what's going to cause is more runoff. And we are adding more drainage system to mitigate that. Drainage from this impervious surfaces are not going to flow over this ridge to affect the resources on this side of the ridge.
Well, I'm sorry, I just, looking at the permitted project, which they've had a valid permit now for 6 years, right? And they've made no attempt to go ahead with the project?
Right, this past few years have been addressed before. Economically, most of these projects were held back because of the economy. And things are looking better for some of these project developers, and that's why this project is.
Madam Chairman, are economic reasons?
No, this is perfectly valid for them to do this. This is a
This
state,
is an order of condition that is still valid.
this was the state passed, whatever it was called, Permit Extension Act.
Right,
So they're well within their right to
to
do
not
this.
build for 6 years?
Yes.
So-
Yeah, they have a valid
Right, well,
permit.
fine,
No,
that's,
they're within the right with the permit for the original order of conditions is valid until January of 2015. The original order of conditions.
Right.
They are requesting an amendment, so this board can review this project under your amended regulations and determine whether or not it is within the original scope. It's a minor or moderate change within the original scope of the project. If you feel it's a significant change, then the applicant will have to refile.
Right, and this is something that,
But the order of conditions
under the present regulations,
Yes, the order of
which
conditions, though,
this
Margaret,
does
is
not
valid.
meet. This proposal doesn't meet buffer zone regulations.
but he has a right to come in and ask for this.
Absolutely.
You had brought up the point
Right.
that in our deliberations, we'll discuss whether it's minor or major. Your turn.
Well, the decking around the pool and the patio area, what is that? What material are you using for that?
They plan to use pavers.
Okay, in the old plan, there was none of that, right?
Right, on
Yep.
the old plan, it was just a backyard.
Okay, and you've added one storm drain and then one dry well for the pool drain, right? That's it, so you've added two,
And if you
but
look
one
at-
is dedicated strictly for the pool?
Right, and if you look at the other ones were increased in size.
Okay,
That's it?
that's it, I'm good.
There's the original project.
On the new plan, I'm kind of liking how the septic system, I like the pump chamber away from where it was. I think it makes it more serviceable where it is now on the proposed plan. I think everything else has been said. That's echoing like crazy every time I talk into it.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. That is, I think, the needle in the haystack.
Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Which one is that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Are you done?
Yes.
Mike?
Is this a proposed cut? Are you removing material in that?
From the limit of work towards the road, there is a lot of material that's being removed, because this site is not developed. There's some clearing areas, but there is no structures on this lot. So there is, and the plan shows which trees are being removed and where the edges of clearings are. The trees that are being removed are the same ones that were proposed to be removed in the
Okay,
original.
first time.
There are 4 new trees that are being proposed in the same location as before. 4 3-inch oak trees.
On the far west end of the lot, if you will, that divide where it goes towards the bay or toward the land is pretty flat. You may need some silt control along that in order to get the rock filter in.
Again, the rock filter is on the downside of that hay.
There's a bridge that comes.
It's just this side, but the divide appears to be about elevation 28 and a half or something of that nature on that, if you take that divide.
Yeah,
See the
yeah.
contour.
I'm just saying in that one little corner. Yeah.
Right, so we do have the siltons here, but this is still a ridge. There's grades here of 29. The contours that we show on the plans are 2-foot contours, so we show the 28, the 30th. We don't show the 29, we don't show the 27. The area for the rock filter is gonna be lower than the patio. The patio's at 29.5, so it's gonna be around the 29s. 28 will be carried down, so all of this will be pitching towards the parking driveway area. And on the surface, this area is gonna be grass area.
Okay.
It's not gonna be hard surface on top of the septic system.
If you look just north of where the rock filter is shown,
The other way. It's higher.
just north, in there, and look at that, which should be still
What's this? Here's 30.
natural grade. That's at about elevation 29, that's all pretty flat.
This one
Right,
was
we
30.
have the 30 contour coming in
Here's
here.
30.
Uh-huh.
So from this point this way, we have 29 high to,
Yeah, I mean, the highest point's probably here, and it's going downhill.
there's no other point, just I can't really specify what grade there is.
Here's the
But
28.
we could agree to a condition that this 30-foot section just
Here's
north
28 on this side. Here's
of
28.
the rock filter,
Here's
would be
28
hay
over
bales.
here.
Along with the siltation.
We do have siltation fence,
Right, put hay bales along with it,
yeah.
just,
That
We can
could,
agree
that
to
could be the
something like that.
difference.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm getting at. Here you go.
Yep.
No other questions?
Tommy,
It's increasing by, what'd you say, 6.1%
6.4%,
in impervious space over the entire project?
right.
And where is most of that? That's in the pavers or that's in the addition? Most of that's the house?
Well, the structures are increasing by 1.9%. I just
Okay.
made a quick calculation, that's around 560 square feet.
Uh-huh.
Structures, again, the increases are the pool, the spa, and
The surrounds, yeah.
the patio is the other increase on impervious surfaces. And I did the calculation. Now, this calculation includes the almost 600 on structures.
Mhm.
It's about 1,800 square feet.
Of patio and pool surround,
So the patio will amount to about 1,200
yeah.
square feet.
Okay. I don't have any major problems with that. I just think it would be a little easier to swallow if it was, you know, if you had kept it closer to the original impervious space.
If we think of it 1,200 square feet, that's typically a 12 by 10 shed in size.
Right, yeah. That's it.
let Court and then we'll come back to you.
Sorry.
Court,
concerns that this is more than just really so on. This is a major piece of work. I think we should see it that way.
yeah.
Well, fencing on the pool, it's gonna be required.
It will be required. We don't show the location of it.
I think if it's integrated inside the wall, that won't be as big an issue, because it's, that sitting wall that you were talking about.
It is a sitting wall, so if it's integrated, it will be on the back of the wall.
Okay, that's something that they definitely need to, I need to know where that is and what type of fencing it would be.
Raoul, how much did you say the impervious surface would be?
It's 6.4%. So it's
I
about.
can do that if you give me that 6.4%.
It's about 1,800 square feet.
1,800 square feet increase? Well, you're gonna have to continue it to show us where the fence is. And I would suggest, given the concerns of Mario and Courtney, you might want
And
to
others.
and others, you might want to reduce.
I think I would like a little more feedback, because if the concern is that the changes on the house is major, and the applicant.
concern is the changes in the impervious surface for the entire project. That's what the concern is. I don't care whether you reduce some of the patio or you reduce some of the house.
Through the chair, if I may, I'd like to mirror what Betsy had said. Your hurdle here is reconfiguring the house. I have no issue with that. The pool being where it is, I really don't have an issue with that either. The pool house, and the gist of it is that it's that parallel intrusion, if you, for the lack of a better word, the parallel pavers along the back of the house, if that was somehow adjusted. You did make an effort to contain any runoff, but the runoff is there because you have the pavers. It's not there because of the construction of the home. You responded to it appropriately by oversizing the drywalls and such, but all that activity is because you have the pavers. If there could be a little bit more of a design to lessen that, I think everybody on here has expressed, it's that.
I want to make one more comment too, and that is, I know there are some people out there in the greater world who want to make a distinction between wetlands, where it's wet, versus wetland resources. This entire thing is within the buffer to the coastal bank.
Right.
And buffers themselves have important resource area values. And increased impervious surface decreases the ability of those resources to provide those values. So I understand your argument, and we appreciate the fact that you're controlling the runoff and that you're behind. I remember this. I remember when this was first permitted. And I know that there's that ridge there, so you're not going to have stuff going over the ridge down into Buzzards Bay. But this buffer itself has important functions. And increasing impervious surface in it decreases the ability of it to serve those functions. Mario?
Not to beat a dead horse here, I would have my fellow commissioners just review the regulations at 1005A, A through whatever. Under B, it says, it defines minor changes as the most simple changes, such as correcting obvious mistakes, such as citing a wrong file number or typographical errors. That's what they define a minor change as. That's all I'll say. This is far from a minor change. I think they should file a new notice of intent under the present-day regulations.
Okay, my comment, just to let you know, is that we have allowed modifications of footprints that don't change impervious surface, stay within the original limit of work,
Yep.
and so forth.
Yep. No,
We've gone that
if
far.
this- I've done that. If this was like a deck or a porch or enclosing or exclude or something like that, I would go along with the minor change.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm being,
No, you're
I'm
pointing
trying to
out what the
stick to-
regulations say.
right.
Ro, you'd like a continuance, I know.
I do.
What date's better for you, Raul, the 19th or the 26th? I'm gonna say, just given, looking at this, you might want the 26th.
Yeah, I don't know how soon it is to get feedback from the applicant,
Okay.
so 26.
If you want later than that, that's fine. We just have a couple of hearings that we don't want you to be here till midnight under the midnight hour.
Excuse
So
me,
you want
Joe.
the 26th for right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
After that,
let's
it
just
would
put
be
the motion on the
second
table, and then I'll,
On behalf of the applicant, I make move to go with
yeah, I know.
March 26th.
That's pertinent for
Second.
I know, I just want the motion on the table. We have a motion and a second. Courtney, questions?
Tom goes.
Tommy. Tommy.
the increase in impervious surface was? 6%?
6.4% is actually 1,785 square feet.
I'm confused because I'm looking at the dotted line which represents the original structure, and I looked at the plan proposed, the original proposed thing.
Do you want that one back?
Yeah, and I'm looking at this, and are you computing your 6% or talking about the total area of the lot? Is that how you're getting at it, or are you saying? Are you, yeah, okay, because I'm looking at this, and the way I would interpret this increase, it's
Right,
the
like
increase
like
in
a
pervious
25%.
surface over what was improved is more like 20 or 25%.
right, those areas that those percentages areas that I pulled out are from the zoning notes. Those are the changes. That's how it's easier for us to find out how much the increase was. I think you have the right number in front of me.
I mean, if you have 100 square feet covered, and you now have 125 square feet, that's, I'm not a mathematician.
That's a 25% increase.
That's a 25% increase. See, that's how I look at it. And so I'm looking at this visually, and I haven't done the calculations, but I'm looking at all of this sitting wall and the pool and all this patio stuff and the proposed garage and all these little tweakles that kind of extend out like like an ooze beyond the original footprint. And I would say, if I were looking at eyeballing it, I'd say there's 25% increase. So that's not minor in my view. That's how I look at it. It's not 6% of the total lot going down to areas you can't touch.
Okay, I think Raul gets it.
Good, just one quickie.
Yep.
Procedurally, they're required to notify butters, put a legal ad in the paper.
Excuse me?
I
You
provided-
notified the butters. We
You
got the
did?
green cards. Yep.
Good, okay,
I
sorry.
think I put that, can you put that back?
Forget about the legal ad.
That's it.
Are there any other questions on the board? Are there any questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
You just have to come up to the podium and
You have to come up
identify
and tell us
yourself,
who
please.
you are.
Thank you.
My name is William Fitzgerald, and my property abuts the Barlettis property here. I was asked to come here tonight to find out how this property is going to affect our property. We have stakes that have been, I've never seen this, I don't even know what it looks like.
Okay.
They put in stakes in the property, coming right up to touching our property. We want to find out how is that going to affect our property when they put the building.
Which, well,
We're
we
not-
can't tell you exactly because we don't know what they're gonna come back with, but which side are you?
159, lot 159.
Over here?
To the right west,
Okay,
to the left.
here.
What's your name? You are,
Franciscan Friars.
oh,
There you go.
I think we'll ask Raul to answer that.
Side.
Raul,
Is there any way of getting a copy of this?
I can
so
give
you
you,
can come to our
I
office
can make that.
tomorrow and absolutely take a look at the file, and we can make like an 11 by 17 copy
I can,
of that.
Yes,
It's in
it's
the
down.
building, in the
let
basement,
him have mine.
on that side of the building. You can speak to a
No.
young woman
Oh,
named Melanie, and she can help you out tomorrow morning.
Are we on both sides?
Okay?
I'll give you this too, but Raul,
Right, on the plan, we show the setback from the building to the property line at 10 feet, the closest location. The closest thing that would be in state for this project was the location of 2 new trees that is very close to the property line. There's 2 oaks proposed about 3 feet from the property line. The other closest staking that you would find will be the limited work on the backside that would be staked like at the property line location. But the building itself,
Those trees.
the one corner
is
is
this him over there?
Yeah. Oop,
is
Are you
shown,
26A?
It's lot 26A.
Is this you? Or is this you?
Madam Chairman, if you're looking at the plan, the property to the right,
This one,
the Franciscan Friars.
this one?
Right there.
Oh,
yeah, that's me.
all right, okay. I'm sorry, Raul.
Yeah, the plan shows 10-foot setback to the property line from the corner of the building. As drawn, is really represented as 11 feet. 10 feet is the zoning setback minimum. The other corner is at 15 feet. So they're both in compliance with zoning setbacks.
And your mechanical
Yeah, how
Equipment.
close is the mechanical?
pad is closer.
How
Right,
close
there's-
is that?
There's a pad proposed at 6 feet from 5.5, 6 feet, or like 5.5 to the property line. But the three closest stakes will be the trees and the limit of work. All the stakes do have writings on them. They say what the stake represents. I mean, not everybody knows what the writings mean. I mean, they say limit of work, they don't really know what it really means. But the limit of work is just the sill fence. The trees should be self-explanatory, just proposed trees.
When a project like this is done, is those of you who are in this business, is the property line delineated?
No more than it is now.
So, I mean, if they would want to ensure that, we would have to say, put a,
You could put along the property line, if you wanted to, you could put a visual barrier, just because there's a concern. If I may address the other gentleman just for a brief moment. What are your concerns, besides the stakes? Are you concerned about the building of the structure itself?
No, I really don't have any concern about the structure. I'm just thinking, several years ago, Mr. Barletta contacted us and asked us if we would be willing to sell a portion of our property to him to be used as a buffer zone. And our attorney said no, that we would not want to sell the property. However, we would give him a letter stating that nothing would be built there, it would be maintained as a buffer zone. And they said no. They wanted the land, and we said no, we will not sell it. So now when I see these stakes coming right up to our property line, that's where our concern comes in. How far do they plan on coming?
No, they could not go any further than their property line. And as
And I
relative
don't
to
know what their property line is, though, sir.
When you receive some of this information here, there's a concrete bound marked here. And it says, on this plan, there's actually two concrete bounds, so I will show you. When you get this plan, it'll say CBDH FND.
on the corner.
Right on the property line, that's a concrete bound. And that's one beginning point, and then on the other end is here, is another one. And that's gonna be a straight line. And those stakes where the trees are gonna be 3 feet in on their property. And then there's more towards the water, there'll be another one that actually almost go right to the lot line, and that's for a siltation fence, a
That
erosion
limit- that
protection.
Yellow, orange limit of work.
Right. So there should be nothing that,
Take that
I'll give you the whole thing.
Thank you very much. Is this line also?
Yeah,
yes.
we have copies in our file, and people have them.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay.
I
Courtney?
think, since this area that's of concern where all the construction is within our jurisdiction, I think that I would suggest that we have a limit of work run right down the property line and have it staked so that the edge
So it's
of the
clearly
hay bales is
delineated.
on the inside, so that it's very clear, because it's, you know, when you're this close, 10 feet is very tight when you're talking about the amount of construction that's gonna be done.
Construction work, right.
And I think you need a limit of work that goes right there, and if that's problematic for Mr. Bowman, then he just has to move his house or shrink it.
I don't think it'll be a problem, because you can put a visual construction fence up
Yeah,
very easily. It's inexpensive and quick to put up there, and it denotes the mark, and also help with wind-blown things and such
But
like
I
that.
think, I don't think just a fence, I'd like to see staked hay bales go the whole way.
The one end, I don't know.
About the hay bale again, that side of the property is also higher.
Yes.
right.
As we go that way.
I think a
we go
visual
higher.
would provide enough. I don't think it has to be, I'm not a huge fan of straw bales anyways, because,
People never take them away.
and, you
Never
know,
last.
this,
In certain cases, they can actually be more damaging.
yeah.
Yeah, there are places to use them and places that aren't appropriate.
Right.
But I do think that property line does need to be clearly delineated for the construction crews and for the security of the neighbors, so they're,
Yeah, that
you
can,
know.
They're not
Well,
gonna put stake
Raoul-
tables in. They're gonna do
Raoul
something
can
else
put
that
that
could be 1 foot.
Yeah, usually for
Oh, yeah.
construction,
On
the
his-
contractor asks for the building to be staked for excavation, so they know where the limits of that building is gonna be. And the building department always asks for an as-built of the foundation to make sure that it is in the right location before they start putting framing up.
But we don't want your neighbors to have trees cut inadvertently.
We can agree to extending the limit of work, the silt fence down that property line.
Yep.
I don't know if you-
Ron, by the way, the building is pretty nicely staked. I was out there today. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay, all in favor of the motion on the table, which is a continuance to March 26th, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thanks, Raoul.
Thank you, Raoul. So if you want additional information, you can come to our office.
Okay, other business, Eel Pond Realty LLC, 87 Water Street, Woods Hole, for digging, clearing, and altering wetland resource areas and in buffered resource areas is defined in FWR 10.00 and 310 CMR 10.00.
Yes, Madam Chairman, this is follow-up on an enforcement order that was issued to the property because of the patio that was installed, the work that was done without the commission's knowledge. It's all work that the commission, I think, would have approved. It was all in already disturbed areas down in Woods Hole. The only issue was the drainage. So we did instruct the applicant to come back to you with a plan of drywall installation and to show the grades on the property so that they, there was some concerns that the property had been graded and that stormwater was being redirected onto the adjacent property. They were, originally planned, you have the original file in front of you to spot check the grades on the property, and this was done as instructed to by your order. You wanted to review the plan, and it's been submitted to you.
Anybody have any questions?
None.
Are you satisfied with the drywall temp
Yes, I am.
and the grades?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I think Holmes McGrath provided that plan. The original plan should be within the main file as well. We can double check the grades.
So what are we doing? Is this just gonna be closing?
Just accepting the plan. The order has been
Motion-
issued, and then the.
Motion to accept the plan.
Okay.
Any questions? Any questions
Okay,
from the
then,
audience?
You'll ask that that plan be implemented by a date certain, so I would say probably by the end of May.
Yes, that would be my,
I do have one question for the applicant, Madam Chairman. Jeff, you had mentioned.
Good evening,
to
Jeff.
me-
Jeff has to tell us who he
I
is.
forgot. Jeff, you had mentioned the other day that you thought they were going to move the location of that drywall. Did you end up talking to Mr. McGrath regarding that? It was a concern you had when you saw the plan.
I talked to Mike today, and
Okay.
he told me he moved it out a little bit more so that he could increase the stone around the drywall, I think, from 1 foot to 2 feet or something.
yes.
Okay, so you're, I know that was something that you
No, it was
were,
fine, he said it could
a little
go further,
surprised
closer to
when
the
you
building
see.
if I wanted to keep it as close to the building. for
yeah, you
obvious
wanted to
reasons.
move it up a little.
Yeah, so I figured I would keep it as close to the building, keeping the diameter, whatever I need
Yeah,
to make
moving
that
it
work.
that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, that's fine, I just wanted to, I know that was, like I said, you came in and looked at the plan and.
Okay, looks good. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank
The
you,
motion-
Jeff, and you can get that
Motion
in
on the
this
table
way.
Yes.
to accept the plan?
Second?
No, there's a motion already on. Motion and a second on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay. Barbara? Are you here for proposed revisions to FWR 10.38? Well, good. I I think,
Here for two things.
I'm here for two things.
So why don't we?
Oh, yes,
so
you're here
why
for
don't
two
we take
things.
the other thing you're here for first, so Kevin can
Go home.
go home. And then we can do orders of conditions first, Madam Chairman, and then
Sure.
jump back to flood zone.
sure. I just wanted to tell Barbara that I appreciated the fact that she put the effort into
And I
making
have
some
answers to
suggestions.
your comments on flood zone.
Cool.
Yeah. You gave Jen and me something to talk about today, to give Jen a little bit of comic relief from the rest of the day that she was dealing with. I don't mean your suggestions were comic relief.
Yes, you did.
Okay, 25 Moses Road. The, Jen's gonna tell us what the quorum is.
I am. I'll find it in a minute. Your quorum
Is,
we heard this twice, correct?
yes.
Yes, we did.
I think the 26th.
I know who it is.
And the 29th, right? I have three quorums here. Betsy, Russ, Tom, Tommy, Court, Mario.
No, Mario wasn't at the first hearing.
No, Mario wasn't at the first hearing, I'm sorry. That was the second one.
It's Court, Tom, Tommy,
You went the
Russ,
first one?
Betsy.
Court, Tom, Tommy, Ross, Betsy, so Mike's out, Mario's out, okay. Whose handwriting is this?
Probably mine.
It's much clearer than past handwriting, isn't it?
I resemble that remark.
You did a wonderful job, but I noticed you're not alternating like you said you were going
If
to.
somebody wants me to, I will.
Mike's just
I am
sitting
here
there
to
nameplate
serve.
this.
We appreciate all the work that you've done all these last couple of years.
Yes, thank you.
I'm fearful of that kind of praise, so I'll be quiet.
Okay, 25 Moses Road, Neil Dunn and Renee Russo.
I'd like to move positive motion.
Second. Get that over with.
What?
Must made a
Positive motion,
positive
second.
motion on the project, and I seconded it.
Okay,
So now we can just talk.
I think we're going to do that now. Basically, it's a raise and rebuild. There are some improvements to the property where some of the concrete apron around the house is being removed. The only issue I think that the commission has discussed in depth in the past is whether or not to allow the proposed breakaway panels. Other than that, it is a raise and reconstruct. It's in the velocity zone, New Silver. Again, they are taking part of the pavement out and reverting that into landscaping, which is an improvement. The board was concerned with the piling and construction, and all of that information was provided to you last week. So I think the only thing this board had concerns with and questions on during the hearing was the breakaway panels.
Okay, since I know what my fellow commissioners all think about breakaway panels, and you know what I think about breakaway panels, I'm only going to make the point, well, 2 points that were made in the hearing. And one is that this is sort of a traditional neighborhood and will keep the same traditional look, which again, you know, that's the question of whether you like the looks or not. You recognize that as time goes on, more and more of these houses are going to have to comply to this. And whether we like it or not, these, you know, these panels work if there's nothing or potentially work. They don't all work. I can tell you from having been through hurricanes, things that are supposed to work in hurricanes don't always work. But potentially they're supposed to work, but they're dependent on not having stuff inside. And there's no way that we can condition and enforce nothing being inside. So I'm just going to say that I wouldn't vote for breakaway panels because of that. Although I do acknowledge that this is a case, and I don't agree with the case about not allowing a flow through when it overtops the seawall. I don't agree with Barbara's argument with that, but I can understand the arguments people made in this case for having, but I don't think you should have these breakaway panels. Our regulations say open pilings. Court, I can see you're ready to say something.
As I think you all are aware, I have mixed feelings about breakaway panels, particularly because I think sometimes they can be truly designed to work as intended. And, you know, I'm sympathetic to the idea if they're properly designed, but also our regulations are very clear that they're not allowed. And we have in the past allowed them under certain circumstances that are very different than what is being proposed here. I think we, in the past, have made findings, for example, that allow them when let's say 3 sides of the structure are below grade and the one part is open. And you can make a finding that makes sense to put breakaway panels in. But we recently made a ruling on a similar situation where even though attractive as the design was on the breakaway panels, we finally had to go back to our regulations, which are very clear that they're not allowed. So much as I personally might be sympathetic to it, I also agree with your argument that, you know, we can certainly condition in an order of conditions that nothing will be stored in this area. We can condition that everything will be hung from the ceiling above the breakaway panels. We can condition all this stuff, but there's only 7 of us on this board, and there's 2 people who work in the office besides the secretary. And, you know, we don't have time. We can't enforce that.
It's an unenforceable condition, Courtney.
Yeah, we can't go running around looking at everybody's thing and say, whoops, you've got a bicycle in here, you're in violation of the order. So I don't see how we can approve this part of the project. I'm certainly amenable to approving the rest of it, not the breakaway panels.
And so am I. So I think we ought to take a vote about the breakaway panels first, because I think we're all in favor of the project. I will say that I don't agree with you that this is entirely the same as our last decision, because the last decision was in the velocity zone, and it was a what'd you call it?
It was new construction.
It was new construction.
Yeah, right.
And
This is a permittable project because it is a redo.
yeah, well,
And
this is
therefore-
going to be better than what's there now.
It's going to be heads and shoulders over that. And I'm flummoxed at, I'm grasping really, really hard, maybe because I'm in the trade, maybe because my personal experiences during storm events and such, that someone who invests in a home like this would be, it's ingrained in me, I have to believe that they'd be good stewards because of their investment in this. And one of the reasons these storm panels is proposed is for his home protection as well. He's not gonna have, a good steward of property would not have items that could get damaged in that area, because you know what that area is. Would that be storage down there during the summer? Absolutely. There's gonna be all kinds of happy crap down there. But in a storm event, everybody in that neighborhood is gonna be running around, they're gonna be putting stuff upstairs in the houses that are next to this. They're gonna be batting down the hatches and all that. We're fortunate enough in a time that we have warning systems that alert us usually days in advance to be able to respond to these things. It's not, we do have rogue storms and no-name storms and such, but we still have a certain amount of time to prepare for these. One of these, this structure, I will lay any kind of monies that I'll make the rest of my life, that this structure, as built, will do far better than anything else out there, because the technologies are there. And the testimony of the person that was said that they've been there for 5 generations, and the slab next door and the toilet staying. Well, there isn't gonna be a toilet in the basement of this. There isn't gonna be any of the other stuff that's gonna be in all the other buildings up along down this area. And they're gonna be oil tanks, and there's gonna be other things that are in other structures there. And to hang your hat on that this storm panel somehow is gonna wreak havoc and not function right. If this is functioning, there's a whole lot more poo-poo in that neighborhood that's gonna cause concern.
Tom, we're moving from this point forward. The regulations, started in the wetlands regulations started in 72. There's a lot that would have been different had we known about the role of wetland resources, or we've actually learned a lot about the role of wetland resources since 1972, but by 1972, people realized that we needed to have regulations to prevent certain things. As time goes on, we're going to be faced, unfortunately, with more and more things like this. So you can't say, there are other problems to either side, and so I'm not going to correct something. And also, remember that
that's what I'm saying.
But we're doing it, we're permitting the project. We're not permitting he's a nice young man who was here, but we don't know who's going to have it 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and whether they're a good steward of the land.
And I'll put it out there. What if this was open pilot? No problem. And it's wide open. What's to stop anybody from piling kayaks up, hanging them underneath there? In my eyes, this is a recognition that this space has the potential of being flooded. This shows intent to do the proper, this is protection of the home as well. It truly is. These walls don't just function as decorative pieces. There's a building envelope. These are not totally structural panels. They're like, I made reference of it, like the shear pin on a snowblower. When that event happens, that's the function of that wall at that period of time. But prior to that, and all the other 365 days that it's not going through a storm event, it has an important purpose to help keep that building functional. And it just, I don't want to hang up on it. I just want to let you know that that's why they're made that way.
But I just want to make one other comment about storms. You do have time, I mean, fortunately, the way forecast is now, you have time when you hear the hurricane's coming or it might come. But I can tell you, having been in the Caribbean, having been hit or nearly hit by several Category 3 and 4 hurricane, and nearly hit by others, when you have a hurricane coming towards you, and you've been hit by a big hurricane, then you put everything away and make it all tidy. And then after a couple of weeks, you undo and you get back to normal. And then there's another scare. And you're like, well, it'll be like the one 3 weeks ago that turned off at the last minute. And then you know what happens? The second one hits you. So you get tired. There's a storm weariness. Jen's dying to say something.
No, I think it just might help the board when you have these types of discussions to look at the presumptions instead of just focusing on the performance standards. The presumptions of this do say that when a project involves removing, dredging, filling, or building a pond, degrading or otherwise altering a land subject to coastal storm flowage, the commission shall presume that the said area is significant to, and the proposed activity will have a significant effect upon the values of that resource area. The following activities proposed within a velocity zone of land subject to coastal storm flowage shall be presumed to have a significant or cumulative adverse effect on protected resource area values. That includes the construction of new structures, including buildings, sheds, garages, additions, and substantial improvements to existing structures, and new parallel shear walls or vertical walls for existing structures. Instead of focusing on, whether or not your performance standards allow it or not, open pilings or not, maybe, and I've guided the commission in this type of discussion before, maybe you could discuss the presumptions and the adverse effects to that resource area. I'm trying to help you guys grapple with this all the time, and I know where each of your individual opinions are in this type of discussion. And I know how you all individually grapple with it. Just throwing that out there.
Well, we have two other people, Tommy and Russ. So you can either make comments or we can vote whether we're going to allow the panels.
I'm ready to vote, but I'll just make a comment that I think that these, it's all, I'm presuming that they're gonna do the right thing and they'll operate how they're supposed to, and I just think also aesthetically that these are totally necessary, and the neighbors that were here they didn't really give their opinion on it, but if they see this thing up on 12-foot piles, concrete poured, they're gonna like it even less, I can guarantee you. And, I'm for them, and I agree that we do have to start adjusting for the changes that are to come, but I think it's gonna take a major event to really make those changes happen, and I just don't think this should be the first one on that route. So I'm in favor of them. That's all I got to say about it.
I'm in favor of them. I agree with what Tommy just said. That's pretty much my argument on the thing.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second on the table.
And would you repeat the motion?
It was a positive to accept the order.
As presented.
accept
The
the
project, I don't think there are any other special conditions.
No, there wasn't.
For this.
Other than that, it was a straight rebuild and actually an improvement to that concrete apron area where they are removing some of that apron
And
and
it is
installing
an
natural.
improvement to having a, solid wall structure with a
It is
toilet presumably in the first
definitely
floor.
An improvement.
Believe me,
over
I've
the
seen lots of
existing
houses like that
structure
that just had a
that was
toilet and a
built
bathtub left.
well before any of your regulations.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was, at one point, there was a discussion about, and I raised this one, that underneath the house, other than where
it's proposed to park cars, that should just be crushed stone, not a slab.
Yes,
I want to
you
make
did
sure
mention
that
that.
if we decide that we're going to approve this, that gets drawn into the thing.
Slab for cars only, everything else crushed down.
That was
And I'd want to see that area.
And they also said, so I think it should be a condition that anything stored there other than a car is stored from hooks on the
We'll put
ceiling.
it in, it's not really something that the staff can enforce from the road, but I'll put it in.
Well, you can from certificate of compliance.
Yes,
Well, can we just make a note in the conditions that say that any storage
slab for car only,
it
crushed down.
will allow the panels to operate as they're designed?
Yeah, I mean,
I
put
know it's
that in.
unenforceable, but then at least it's there.
Nothing to impede the panels.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, motion and a second on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed?
I'll be for.
You're for.
Okay,
I'll make a note for the record. I'm opposing the motion only because of the storm panel issue.
of the breakaway panels, that's
The
understandable.
rest of the project.
Yeah, that's fine. The
is
rest-
absolutely approved.
Yep,
And I'm approving only because there are certain special conditions that surround the rebuild of this house that I wouldn't necessarily take into consideration in other places,
Another site.
in other
Can I
sites.
say one, Madam Chairman?
Yep.
Barbara, thank you, and the architect for the details. This was great. Really
Yeah.
helped me. It was tremendous. The foundation layout and the
I want to know
drawings
what
on
you
that.
made him take out that I would have made a comment about, though.
I know.
Will you tell me?
Nope.
Later. Well, I told him that now he's raised the bar, so we're all thrilled that you're gonna be looking for stuff like that every time.
Absolutely, it's what we asked
Great.
for.
It helps.
He took that and he gave us something much more than we ever could have imagined.
And he got his panels.
Thank you very much.
You're gonna have a happy client.
Thank you. We gotta go call him.
Thank you.
Aye, 339 and 389.
Barbara, you got two orders, they're gonna go quick before we get back, because I want to address some of the comments you made here.
Right.
No problem, not a problem, Barbara.
339 and 389 Gifford Street.
That was, Courtney, Tom, Betsy, Russ, Tommy, Mike,
It's everybody,
Woodbriar,
right?
the reconstruction of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we were all just, it was a one and done deal.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I honestly don't think there was even any special conditions we discussed on that. We have to
No,
continue the
this
hearing
is
for
good.
the DEP number and for the BBW data sheets, which they did provide for Mario. I
Motion to
want to
accept.
say, I'm assuming Jeff did it, so. Oh, no.
Who was it?
And I didn't have any, the staff didn't have any concerns with the project.
Motion to accept the order as discussed.
Second?
Any further questions? All in favor of the motion on the table, which is to accept 339 and 389 Gifford Street as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. 10 Nashawina Street.
Yeah.
That was the amended.
It was an amended.
same point.
Yes, same form. Which one's this?
The Nashawina Street.
Same form, Courtney, Tom Corvo, Betsy, Russ, Tommy, Mike. This is the,
Snowdrops.
Yes.
That's the snowdrop lawn.
no, Mike was on the other.
I've been here.
Yeah, Mike was on Gifford. Yeah, Mike
Yeah,
just
I
wasn't
was
on
thinking-
Moses because he missed
I
the
was not
first
on
day.
Moses. I missed the
Moses had 2 hearings. According to Russ, it actually had 3, but really it was only 2. Nashawina was the existing house. You saw this kind of tandem with
Yeah.
2 lots.
Yep.
This lot was the existing house. The applicant desire to have an enclosed space for the garage prompted the amendment with this. It really didn't exceed the footprint of it exceeded the footprint of the original project, but was well within the scope of that. It wasn't,
Yeah, I don't think we had any special conditions,
all the
did we?
same, restoration plantings to mitigation plantings outside the 100-foot buffer to the salt marsh.
Yeah, he answered my question about the stairs getting changed to one.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah.
Motion to accept the order is discussed.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Hang on 1 second. Okay. I had sent you all some proposed changes to the flood zone regulations so that the town could move forward with the incorporation of the new FEMA flood zone map. I also had sent out that version, which was edited by the town planner, to Barbara and company, the other engineers that you usually see and attorneys in town, to get some initial feedback from that. We do need to vote to advertise those. My goal was to have them advertised in the Falmouth Enterprise on Tuesday for an official vote to incorporate them into your regulations on March 26th. There were minor changes, although Mr. McGrath, Jeff Johnson from Homes McGrath, and Barbara did submit some comments regarding the proposed revisions, and Madam Chairman, you can go over the discussions we have. Barbara, one of your notes was the inclusion of the note citing the building code. You all should have received that today. It would have been in your packets, or Mel would have put that in front of you. The building code, the Wetlands Protection Act, and restrictions. That's a footnote. Yeah, that's a footnote in that. I did ask Mr. Curry about those today. They are a requirement to have that footnote by FEMA and NEMA.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure, absolutely.
What does that mean with regard to your function and your ability? Although on one hand, I'd like you to have this function and ability, and on the other hand, maybe not, to have some say as to, like for instance, Courtney, when you asked us to provide the pier design, which I felt was beyond your purview from an environmental standpoint, it was a building code issue. So by including, that was just my opinion at the time. I felt how the piers were put in was within your purview, but how much, how thick the rebar was not. But anyway, I'm just using that as an example. To me, it would be like asking for the framing plan.
This is a footnote, it's not a regulatory
So it's not a regulatory
requirement.
thing.
The way Brian explained it to me
Okay.
was that FEMA would like it included so that people are
Oh, sorry.
aware of the other requirements. Come sit in the front row, Bob. Other requirements besides the Wetlands Protection Act, such as the building code, Title V, not the bylaw, but the Wetlands Protection Act. And it's just a footnote making people aware of the other regulations that may apply for work within a flood zone.
All right, but not that you may put into your repertoire as how you can say things should be done.
That we can oversee the state building code, no.
Okay, that's what I was
No,
not clear on.
no. But I can assure you that Courtney will still ask for piling.
I know he will. That's all right.
Cross sections and everything else.
Yeah, through the chair.
Yep.
Barbara, it is not within the purview of this commission to pass on whether the piles, design the piles, how they're designed, and are they structurally sound, and so forth. It's not within our purview to be concerned about that. However, what we are concerned about is what is the impact of the proposed construction. So until you can see a plan and see a cross-section, I mean, you don't know how deep you're gonna have to excavate. You don't know whether you're gonna have to de-water. You see what I mean? It's the ramifications of what's being done. And when you initially proposed it, that wasn't clear. That's why I asked for it. Do I care how thick the rebar is? Not for the purposes of this discussion. If I were building a house and my license is gonna be in the hook, I'd be concerned about it.
No,
But that's
I would
not
just,
within here. But the impact, it's simply the same sort of things that will require a cross-section on the foundation. Because we want to see how deep they're gonna have to excavate and what's the over dig. And is that gonna put it right into on a pond or over the limit of work, for example? Because you know from how, we see these things all the time. Where, oh yeah, sure, yeah, it's only 2 feet away, but of course we can do this. Well, then you find out that they're gonna have to excavate 6 feet in the ground.
right.
Okay? So that's when we ask for a construction methodology. So sometimes we've had excavators or conditional work that's tight to put, sheet piling in to hold the thing back while they excavate. I mean, there are things like that. That's where we need to sit. That's why it's within our realm to ask for this. And technically, we can even ask for architecturals.
Absolutely, Courtney, I do agree with you.
And let's get back to the land subject to coastal storm flowage regulation.
So Barbara, another one of your things that you had mentioned was the inclusion of the term reconstruction for any structure that has sustained substantial damage. I know it's new, but the staff feels that that's basically any reconstruction of something that's been damaged would come to the board anyway. So it's not like we're not requiring something new. If, let's say, your garage was damaged during a storm event, or a high wind event, but that's still a storm event, or a car went through it by accident, your neighbor drove through your garage and it needed to be reconstructed, it's in a flood zone, that would be before this board anyway, because any work in that flood zone is within the commission's jurisdiction and would be within their jurisdiction and oversight. So as staff goes, I don't really see that being a huge issue, but you can elaborate on your comments.
I just wanted to say, there were several comments, and you don't have to hit them all necessarily, that I
No, but I
thought,
appreciate them, and I told you we would discuss them.
but I thought
I
that
don't want you to think we did all this and
No, no.
we're just gonna ignore it.
you sort of have a mandate to get this thing together for town meeting because of the FEMA maps.
Well, I
And
mean,
it just
that's
seemed that, but
kind
I
of
also,
like to have it done by town
Yeah.
meeting, yes.
but I also realize that you're going to be doing some open hearings on revamping the whole flood zone thing.
Yeah, the substantive part, we would like to obviously look at and tighten up the language.
And it
so
seemed to
we're
me
not
that those types of
struggling with
things
this.
should be in that form
Yeah.
as opposed to this one. That's where I was going with that.
You and Holmes and McGrath sent something in. Before I read your comments, I went through again, and I had the same comments. I said to Jen, we don't have to put this in right now. We can have it as a discussion point. It's probably just sort of redundant from what we already have.
I think
But
that-
why don't we just, at this point, because we want to get the new flood zone designation in, let's just leave it out. I felt the same way.
Let me understand this. This doesn't
Alterations of
preclude,
land
this
form.
doesn't preclude a landowner from reconstructing a substantially damaged structure within the flood zone. It's just, we've already covered,
You already covered that. I think you guys
We
are
already
putting
covered
too
that.
much
They'd have to
emphasis
file
on
anyways.
just having the language in there.
Yeah.
Whether the language is in there or not,
Mhm.
anybody that's sustained substantial damage from a storm, from a car, from a vandal, would have to come before you. If the house burned for some reason.
I want to go on to some other things. On
Okay.
page 2, they suggested,
Alterations, wait, I have one more issue I wanted to address.
on page 1,
alteration to landform, which is another issue, that is also a requirement by DEP, to have that put in there.
All right, alteration of landform is so vague.
But it's already in the regs asking, any alteration to vegetative cover.
Well, it doesn't say alteration of vegetative cover. I mean, I could put in a raised flower bed in my lawn, and that would be an alteration to the landform. I guess it's
Well,
just
we
too
do
vague.
look at that.
You do look
We
at it.
look at that, and if there's fill, for instance, we did have a project where somebody wanted to fill to get into, wasn't
And
yours, it
Michelle
was
Yeah,
Mike.
Michelle raised it as an issue.
We raised it as an issue. Mike had certain characteristics of what had to be in that driveway so that it would have certain kinds of permeability, et cetera. And we actually allowed it, and then zoning cut it out. Remember that? We allowed like 600 cubic yards, and zoning cut it back to like 200 cubic yards.
It is in the section that says it's presumed to have impact.
It does have impact.
Not, you're saying alteration.
It's presumed to have impact, and if you want to have a raised flower bed, you can say, if it comes up 2 feet, it's just going to flood right over this, and this isn't going to have any impact. So you can overcome that presumption.
Well, sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't.
Well, if you
All
can't,
depends how you feel that night.
if you can't,
All right,
yeah.
okay, well, that was why I raised it.
I want to talk about something on page 2.
I don't know, which page?
Page
Is that
2.
the AE?
No, I haven't gotten there yet.
All right, page 2.
There's a section that, well, I switched something, so let me see what your page, let me, 2 of these. In some case, it's in blue, do you have it in blue?
Yeah, that means it's gonna be deleted.
Okay, yeah, but I think the line, in some cases, the placement of fill in hydraulically constricted portions of the coastal floodplain may increase flood levels in conjunction with heavy rainfall events. I think that should be left in.
Okay, so you wanna keep the first part in?
Yeah, and just take off
Okay,
the AH zone part.
okay,
Yeah, take that part off.
all right.
Okay, the next part is, further down, they have something about, where is that? Oh, that's update for the next section. When we redo these, there's a lot more recent literature on sea level rise than this that should be cited.
Yeah, but we're not doing that
Right.
now. Okay.
Okay, my next question is then, okay. That's for the next one,
And
too.
you're,
Okay. When you get down to page 1, 2, 3, 4,
yep,
comment A8,
yep.
should that be added? Is that supersedes FEMA publication guidelines and specifications for wave development determination and V-zone mapping, FEMA 1989? Is that superseded by the 2002 one?
Yes,
Then that should be added.
we'll add that. Okay.
Okay, now,
Would that be deleted, would this be deleted?
this would be deleted and this
And
would
the
be
other
added.
one would be added.
Yep.
Yeah, see, zoos with that by including appropriate information, yes. Okay.
Okay. And then, here's the thing that I had a problem with. Go down a little bit further on that.
Yep,
It refers to 1038. Well,
are you still on page 4?
yeah, it says, go past where it says 1038 2B 6A through C. Go down a little further, and it says 1038 2B 4B and C, see illustration. Well, I see the illustration, but there is no 4B and C. I think it means 6B and C. There is no 4B and C.
Hang on. This came right out of your regs, so that.
I
you
know, I
change
think they
that.
made a mistake.
Uh-oh.
38, 2B, 6BC?
There is a 6, A, B, and C, but 4 doesn't have anything.
38, 2B4 doesn't have anything.
No. So I think it should be 6, and it says see illustration, and the illustration is
Yeah.
referring to 6 and 7.
I think the illustration is for 7. Okay.
Well, no. Well, it says notwithstanding that.
You got it, okay.
It's a legal term.
I don't know what it
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, and the next is, what's this one?
You wanted to take out the AE.
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss that at some point, but it's not,
Okay, we can take it out. We were doing that, are you following along, Bob? Okay, page 5, I think.
I don't have page numbers.
1, 2,
Okay.
you have to count.
Um,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, page 6. Page 6, B,
yeah, see,
no, page 6C, go all the way down to 4C. I wouldn't get rid of all that, I'd just say when the A zone, which is hydraulically, when an A zone, which is hydraulically constricted, is significant to the entrance.
no, I'm not even there yet, Madam Chairman. I'm back one. I was on page 5.
Okay.
Where Ty and I talked about, see the following activities proposed by adding the AE.
Yeah.
The AO zone, you wanted to take out the AE, correct?
Yeah, and that's something we can discuss later.
Yes, but we'll take that out for right now.
Correct,
Okay.
That's on page 5. That
5.
E down here,
it. Correct,
yes.
taking that out.
right.
Well, that was added and that was never there.
Right,
Okay.
It was the overwash zone of a beach dune or barrier.
yeah, that's out.
I mean, I'm not comfortable until we think about the implications of these. And now, the next page, which is 6,
Correct.
Yep.
4, C,
C.
4C. I don't want to take,
There is no AH zone anymore.
no, I'm on the next page. Yeah, we don't have an AH zone, but we have an A zone.
So when the A zone, which is
Oh.
It should be when an A zone, which is hydraulically restricted, is significant to the entrance,
Got it.
because that happens. We have places that are like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Okay. We'll change that, we'll advertise them.
It's a little confusing.
Here we go. This one?
This comes down to 4,
Thank you
A,
for
B,
taking the
right,
time to
and
come.
then 1.
Yeah, that's B1, 2,
You too.
that's B1, 2. These should all be inset.
Yeah, okay.
See, so this is A, you stick with these, 4, A, B, C.
Okay.
It's just formatted weird because it was difficult to cut and paste from the town code into a document and then send it to you guys.
Jen,
Yes,
if it'll be easier for you, be nice to me. I'm gonna offer to do something for you.
make the changes and send them to me.
I will make the changes and send it, and then you can post them on the website.
They're gonna be posted on the website, they're gonna be advertised in Falmouth Enterprise on Tuesday.
Yeah, but I'll make them if you want, what we just discussed.
That's fine, yeah. Okay.
Thanks for looking over these, Barbara.
Welcome, thanks for the opportunity to do it. Have
Yeah.
a good night. Stay well.
All right.
Okay.
Who wants to go home?
I want to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Everybody, thanks Susan for coming.
Everybody made the motion, everybody seconded it, and everybody wants to go home.
And the vote was aye.
Good, Barbara.
Unanimous.
8:30, not bad.
I haven't forgotten, Courtney, I will go out there tomorrow.